welcome to the Webcast for Monday, November 24th. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. We're starting Thanksgiving week off with a shallow marine layer as well as dense fog across the San Joaquin and Salinas valleys. That dense fog is an indicator that ground conditions remain very moist following our recent wet pattern, and the fog and low clouds will likely hang around all day in much of the San Joaquin Valley and will be slow to clear at best in the Salinas Valley. Overall, today is looking like a seasonable day. Here's a look at the forecast highs. We'll see 50s to low 60s across the lower mountains and the San Joaquin Valley, and mid-60s to mid-70s in the coastal valleys. Winds will be light today, and minimum humidity will remain mainly above 30%, as again, conditions still remain quite wet after all the rain we've had recently. After close to 2 weeks of near-constant storminess, a much quieter pattern is in store, at least for most of our holiday week. A fairly strong area of high pressure is building in out of the Pacific, and it will center itself over California by the middle of this week. As the high strengthens overhead, it will bring us a solid warming trend through midweek, especially away from the San Joaquin Valley, where Tule fog will continue to hamper conditions. We'll warm up several degrees on Tuesday and a few more on Wednesday, which will be the warmest day. Here are Wednesday's forecast highs. We'll see mid-50s to mid-60s across the mountains and the San Joaquin Valley, but will surge into the 70s and low 80s in the coastal valleys. Thursday we'll see some slight cooling, but it's looking like a very nice Thanksgiving day across the region. Minimum humidity will drop to between 15 and 30% away from the much wetter San Joaquin Valley and its surrounding foothills Tuesday through Thursday. And as is typical with a warming and drying trend this time of year, offshore flow will be prevailing for the next few days. Winds will be very light today, and no strong offshore winds are expected this week, but some locally breezy northeast to east winds with gusts of 30 to 35 miles per hour will develop across the wind-prone mountains and canyons starting Tuesday morning and likely going at least through Wednesday night, helping to warm up those areas west of the coastal slopes. The forecast becomes very uncertain by the end of this week. A deep troughing pattern is likely to develop somewhere near the west coast, and so we expect that in any case a strong cooling trend is likely over the upcoming weekend. However, there is high uncertainty in the wind and precipitation forecast, as it will depend on the trajectory of the trough. Some models like this one show an over-water trough trajectory, which would yield a cold and very wet weekend. But other models suggest an overland trajectory, which would be a cool but much drier outcome and would lead to offshore winds developing by Sunday. Both outcomes appear about equally likely at the moment, and we should have a much better idea within the next day or so as the features involved start to take shape over the North Pacific. We can expect steady drying trends in our dead fuel moistures over the next several days, though to no surprise, it remains very wet out there for the most part, and we have a long way down to go just to get to average levels after the recent pattern. And we continue to see a strong low-elevation green-up develop across the region, which should only accelerate this week as warmer and sunnier weather allows for better growing conditions. There will remain little or no fire activity across the region through the forecast period, and we can certainly be thankful for a much different picture on our landscape than this time last year, with fire dangers set to remain very low through the holiday season. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Wednesday, November 26th.